Hello, traders. This is Blake Morrow, and you are listening to Tales from the Trading Desk with Dick Mathews from GC Partners. How are you, Dick? I missed you last week. We had some scheduling conflicts. It's good to see you again.
Good to see you as well. And I missed you last week. It's always great to catch up and great fun.
Yeah, it's like the fun part of my Friday. You know, I love to hear these stories. And for those of you that are just listening into this very first one, you got to go back and listen to the other interviews. And I think we're on episode 9 or 10 of Tales from the Trading Desk. Dick, you got so many great stories, that we thought needed to be told. And, you know, it's interesting. I've been talking to other traders that are like, oh, I've got some stories. And I'm like, we might just be continuing this series with other people moving forward. But you know, it's been a really, you know, I came in at the time in the business in the mid 90s where, you know, open outcries it was almost, and it has started to become more of a thing of the past. And we've just, you know, and even though I traded on trading floors for my first few years, 7 years maybe of being in the markets, not to the extent that you had. So how is it different today? And what are all the market participants now? What are they missing out on that they just didn't see back in the 70s and 80s and then during the glory days of the trading desks?
No, you know, I had a long chat earlier this week with a great old trading buddy of mine, and we sort of came to the conclusion that it's also automated now, and you know, AI is involved in it, and it's electronic. The humor's gone, and the sensation of the interaction of standing there with 3,000 people and hearing the noise. And you know, I don't know whether the listeners are aware that non-farm payroll came out today, and it takes me back to being on the trading floor and in London, standing there at 1:29, waiting for the figure to come out because obviously we're ahead of you, and the whole floor is absolutely quiet. And suddenly it just starts chanting the theme tune to the Twilight Zone. It just says this, do, 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 do. And you've got 3,000 guys chanting this number. And the next thing you know, it's just chaos. Cards are flying everywhere, phones are flying everywhere, and the noise. But you forget the humor and the camaraderie of it. And then you know, the actual action. And even now, if I see some guy in the pub and he's going up to buy a round, if I start going, he'll know exactly what I'm saying. He was on the trading floor. You know, it's time for him to buy around, the Twilight Zone says. So it's, you know, things like that and the action, just the color and the noise.
You know, and I've got to imagine the camaraderie that you've had over the years. You know, so just for the viewers' knowledge, last week I got an opportunity to see, and for your knowledge also, I got to see a friend of mine that I hadn't seen in 28 years. Was the last time I saw him. He had a picture of the last day that I saw him in the military, and we'd been at 4 different countries together. We've been under fire. We've gotten shot at together. We lived a lot to those 4 years, and I heard about his high school sweetheart, which I then met his wife because he married her, and they've been together for, you know, 30 some odd years. And it was really cool, but we picked up right where we left off. And it wasn't like we even skipped a beat. So I understand that camaraderie. And even with some of the traders that I've worked with over the last 5 years, they have, you know, a lot of like inside jokes with other traders on things that used to happen on the trading floor, which I wasn't privy to, you know, being an outsider over the last 5 years with those guys. But there is a lot of camaraderie that happens that you're just not really privy to nowadays. Isn't that right?
No, I think that's right. And it's interesting you say about being in the military. I've never been in the military, and hats off to anyone who has. But it is a similar sort of feeling that you get this camaraderie, and you've been through something together that no one else has witnessed or been through, and it binds you together. You know, funny enough, my wife always laughs as I go swimming every day. I go swimming in the ocean every morning. And over here, it drops down to like 5 degrees centigrade. So it gets really, really cold. And there's 4 or 5 of us go, and we go every day. And we have this similar camaraderie. And my wife says that that's what you miss not being on the trading floor. You miss this sort of these in-jokes, and there's something in there. So, you know, going back to the trading floor, if I walk into a bar or a restaurant and I see someone I've worked with, or even someone who's on the trading floor that I didn't know that well. There's an immediate interaction, and you go out of your way to talk to him and do anything for him and help him. And on social media, there's a lot of us stay in contact with each other, and it's incredibly hard to explain to anyone who's never been in there to see it.
Yeah, and I even with our Forex Analytics, which is our company that I've had for several years working with like traders. We do have a camaraderie in a chat room, but it's not like being on a trading floor. When you get that one-on-one interaction, then afterwards you're having a pint with that person, and then next thing you know, you're getting in a bar fight with two other guys from another trade desk. No, well, that's what Americans do. You guys are all very prim and proper.
We certainly had a few as well.
So, I think it's great. And like I said, I'm blessed enough to have the experience of understanding what that camaraderie has been like. And that's why I think even today, in today's world, as a trader, being at home, which a lot of you are that are listening in right now, find a community, find people that you're like-minded, and you can you can express your feelings and talk about the good times and the bad times, and have that, because it's important. I think it's an important part of the business that we severely lack.
Absolutely, and you learn from it as well. You learn by talking to people, and you never stop learning. And someone once said, my first boss said to me, keep that shut and keep those open. It's a great bit of advice, and you just never stop learning.
Well, speaking of learning, let's talk about one thing I wanted to end off with today. It was a pretty dark and gloomy day back October 19th, 1987. And that was probably a really big day for you. I mean, like for me, I've got a couple of those dates that stick out in my mind in my career. But in your illustrious career, Dick, that's probably one day that really sticks out. And it was before my time. I was actually still in high school at that point. But yeah, lucky I was, and I am a baby. But let me ask you, what were you doing on that day, and how did it affect you? I mean, you had markets that were down 20, 30, some near 40% in one day. And just really quick, just to give you guys some perspective. I mean, you just do the numbers. Think about what it would look like with the S&P right now at 4,400 roughly at the time of video. If we were trading down at, let's say, 2,800, how would you feel?
By the end of the session,
by the end of the day. Yeah. Not a month from now, not 2 months from now. Yeah. No. Like by the end of the day. So what happened there, and how did you guys deal with it?
It was really, really wild. We'd had a hurricane in the southeast of the UK, and we just don't get hurricanes. It just never happens. And the power lines were down. You couldn't get to work. It was just an absolute nightmare. But you knew there was this dark cloud. You knew what the market was going to do, because Wall Street had wobbled on the Friday night. We had this dreadful weather on the week before. So on the Monday morning, we went in, and it was just carnage. It was carnage getting to work, and it was just absolute carnage on the trading floor. No one had ever seen anything like this before. I guess the only similar date would have been 1929 or something with the Wall Street crash then, and the markets just absolutely collapsed, and you didn't know what to do. It was scary. It really was scary. And it's the only time I've ever been scared broking or trading was that day, because you'd never seen anything like it before, so you weren't prepared to how to react. I can still remember orders, an order a guy gave me on my advice, and he got the market so wrong, unfortunately. And Robin Swift, if you're listening, I apologize to you for getting the market wrong. It's just like horrendous, and people didn't know what to do. And at the end of the day, you just see that, did that really just happen? And again, just going back to what you just said, imagine if the S&P ended up 1,500 points lower by the end of the session today. I guess now is it possible? We didn't have circuit breakers.
Yeah. So that was going to be my next question to you. Based on your experience and being around for so many huge events do you think it's even possible nowadays? I mean, you know, I remember just even the flash crash, whatever, 7 or 8 years ago. Fortunately, I happened to be positioned right for that as it happened. But, you know, I don't know. I mean, even the COVID move that we had recently, I mean, you know, you go limit down, then you're limit down again. Then it's like, you know, will we ever have a crash like that of those epic proportions? I don't know.
I'm not sure you will, because of the circuit breakers. I mean, they weren't in the market. We didn't have limit down or limit up on that day. I don't think you'll see the like of that again. You might see it over a period of a week. You know, you might enter into a bear market over a period of a week, but you know, I don't think you'll see it in one day ever again.
Well, you know, that probably if you guys really want to feel something like that to that extent, don't trade stocks anymore. Go trade currencies and go trade the Swiss franc, and then you'll have the Swiss National Bank pull the rug out from under you at some point.
That's true. Yeah,
that sucked. I was positioned wrong that day, and that I woke up and I was like, did I just really lose like that much money? And how did that happen? And why didn't I get stopped out? But again, you know, that in the stock market though, you know, the stock market, it's not, I don't know if we're going to see those days again, but on that day, let me ask you this, you know, or the days following, how was the mood around, did you have any traders that worked for you? Because at that point in time, Refco already bought your business?
No, Refco hadn't bought us by then, but I was working with some locals. And and I remember one being absolutely wiped out and sitting, and I can still see him now sitting on the floor at the back of the exchange, almost in tears, just looking at his cards and, you know, just not being able to comprehend what had happened. And he got helped out and got given the start and said, come on, get off your ass, get back in there, you can make this back. And he was I don't know if he's looked after, but he was given the confidence to go back in, and he made his money back. And since then he's had an up and down career, but he's been a successful trader. So I can remember the look of shock on people's faces. I had a look of shock on my face. I lost a lot of money that day. I just sold a part of a business, and I'd been given shares in that business, and they opened at 70 pence and they closed at a penny. So the great deal I thought I'd done disappeared up its own proverbial. And I think it was just shock because no one had seen that before. Now there's still a few of us around who've seen this. They've seen this with the ERM, LTCM, COVID, 9/11, that you've had a few of these days when you've had really big intraday movements. But that was the first, and it was really a shock to everyone.
Yeah, I bet it was. You know, and we're going to talk about, you know, on our next meeting, we're going to talk about a couple other important dates and what happened around those. But I have to say, you know, you live to tell the tale, Dick, and it's great to hear, you know, the stories, because they do need to be told. And I'm glad that I'm here to be able to be on the receiving end of hearing the stories, but also being able to feel it, because you're a great storyteller. I almost feel it every time. So it's great.
Shit broker, but a great storyteller.
Well, that's your words, not mine. All right. So anyway, Dick, I
think we should leave it
now. And we're out. So Dick, I want to say thank you so much for spending your time with us today on this Friday. And you know, I want to mention to everybody that's watching this maybe for the very first time, there are many other previous episodes. We'll have Stelios Kontigoulis jumping back in with us here in the next week or two. But also wanted to say that you provide some pretty great analysis in the markets. So make sure that you're reading Dick's columns on Traders Summit, because your updates about what's happening in currencies and what's happening in the current market really is valuable. So thank you so much for being with us today. And how do people you know, get to you directly?
You've got my contact details on the bottom of the webcast, and you know, Richard.Mathews at GC Partners.
Awesome.
I keep my mobile phone number closely to my heart in case the taxman's watching.
If you guys see it scrolling across the bottom of the screen, that wasn't me, that was the editor. So all right. Dick, thanks so much for spending your time with us, and we'll see you next week.
Fantastic.
All right.
Thanks,
bye-bye.
Bye-bye.